The federal government has approved an automated fuel system management and sensor network to review the daily fuel consumption in the country. The technology tracks fuel delivery from the point of entry into the country to its final delivery in the petrol station. Speaking to newsmen at the end of the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting, which was presided over by Acting President Yemi Osinbajo, the Minister of State for Petroleum, Ibe Kachukwu, said the move was an initiative of the Petroleum Equalization Fund conceived to assist in revealing the exact liters of petroleum being consumed in the country every day. Kachukwu also said the adoption of the PEF initiative had become imperative in view of discrepancies in figures being banded as daily fuel consumption in the country.
We've chartered a private international firm to look through our data and get us what they think is our consumption. That will enable them to look at the number of roads, cars on our roads, the population drift, what really we should be consuming, and that should be the consumption figure. And my indication is that the preliminary reports on that will be out within the next 1 month. Now, having said that, we will still need to then authenticate those consumption figures, and that's where the PEF technology comes in. When we resumed in 2015, the figures were about 55 million liters. Now, looking at linguistic lineage now, I guess those were evacuation figures, because I'm learning the dictionary every day on this one. But it was 55 million. Now, we worked hard because we didn't believe the 55 million figures were legitimate, especially given the claims on subsidy. By the time we stepped in, one of the things that we did was that we reduced that first to about 37 million, and then later on, after the improvement on pricing, to about 27.8. Those were the figures that I left with. Now, since then, things have changed, largely due to, obviously, the peculiar situation where private marketers are not importing. DPR is also saying that perhaps the initial figures we had of 27.8 didn't reflect some private sector importations, maybe, but those were the figures I was given. I didn't create those figures by our statisticians in NMPC and DPR at the time. So there have been varying figures, like you rightly say, and what we're trying to do now with our fault finding is to determine really what is our consumption.